The St. Louis Blues were victorious this weekend, winning 2 of their games that they played. And I have to tell you, I am feeling so much more confident when it comes to this hockey team. I'm going to tell you more about it coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things St. Louis Blues. Now, before I get into today's episode, I do want to let you know that you can find this podcast on any kind of podcast streaming device, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Sirius, wherever you listen. So I just want to thank you once again. Today's episode, I will be touching on the Blues' victorious weekend, okay? And I'm going to dive into that coming up next, but it was something special. It was always Robert Thomas season. Okay, I say that a lot, but what does it actually mean? I will dive into that. I also asked you on Twitter at Locked On Blues something regarding the future of this team, and then previewing the Blues' upcoming games per usual. I have to tell you, this weekend really gave me that confidence and reassured me that this team might be a team that could surprise me. And I'm going to say that all throughout the season, but I'll get into my little theory of why I think this podcast is actually helping the team in my weird way. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, so before I dive into the games, okay, I did say, okay, I think this podcast helps the team win. Haley, what? Explain. Whenever I come on this podcast and I criticize a specific player, which I usually don't do often, they end up playing really well. So I'm going to say that. And now let's go talk about these games because I was excited. Okay. So the Blues have a 4-game home slate, and they hosted the New Jersey Devils. And this was a game, I have to tell you, I was nervous about this game because the New Jersey Devils were considered a cup contending team in the beginning of the season, or before the season began, I should say. I have to tell you, I was watching this game, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, when's it going to happen? Because that's how this game seemed. It seemed like the Devils they had a lot of possession, especially early on. I mean, even if you look at their face-off against the Blues, they were 61 to the Blues is 38%. So the Devils were definitely the more dominant team in that first period. But Jake Neighbors, and again, this is a guy that I talked about, he ended up scoring early on in the second period, giving the Blues a 1-0 lead. Who else did I talk about recently, made a whole episode about, that I said wasn't performing well, that I didn't see a lot from him since coming to St. Louis? Oh, was that Kevin Hayes? Okay, well, Kevin Hayes, he responded by getting his first goal wearing the blue note. So Hayes made it 2-0 St. Louis. Unfortunately, the Devils, they were able to get one, cutting the lead in half at the end of the second period. So now it's 2-1, Blues still on top. Okay. Why? I'm telling you, why do things work out like this? Because in the third period, on an empty net, Kevin Hayes got his second goal as the St. Louis Blue. Yep. And it was an empty netter. So, ironically enough, not even just Colton Paracco, but Jordan Binghamton was also one of the guys that assisted this goal. So Benner got his first assist of the season. Congratulations, Jay Biggs. And then Robert Thomas, he got another empty netter as well, which was assisted by Justin Folk and Kevin Hayes, making this 4-1 St. Louis. Okay, so what does this game tell me? It tells me that this was the Kevin Hayes game. He played so hard against the Devils. I have not seen this from him all season. And I have a reason as to why. Besides my podcast, I was kind of joking when I said that, not really. But he played on 2 different Metropolitan teams in recent years. He was on the Rangers and then the Philadelphia Flyers. So obviously with the New Jersey Devils being in the Metro, I sense that it was kind of like this first kind of like metropolitan battle. He's used to playing, that team, obviously. So maybe that's why he had more familiarity and maybe that just kind of sparked something within him. I'm hoping. I don't know exactly what went through Kevin's head, but a win is a win. So then the Blues, my voice, I'm also losing it. It's the time of the year, you already know. Um, they ended up taking on the Canadians at home, and I love life because on this podcast, who was somebody else I was really hard on? Oh, was that Jordan Cairo? Yeah, it was. And he had himself a game. You see how it works out. So the Canadians, I'm not saying that they're a bad team. They're kind of like the Blues in a way, that same kind of level. So I wasn't necessarily thinking that the Blues were going to lose. I just thought this would be more of a challenging game. So let's go break down this. In the first minute of the game, okay, assisted by Captain Braden Chen, Jordan Cairo was able to get St. Louis up 1-0. Unfortunately, the Habs responded back, and this was the pattern all game, and they were able to even the game out one apiece. Towards the end of the first period, because it's always Robert Thomas season, RT got a goal, giving the Blues a 2-1 lead, assisted by Justin Folk. Then, oh, wait, Hale, is there another guy that you're critical of? It was Braden Saad. And he got a goal assisted by Jordan Cairo and Braden Shen, giving St. Louis a 3-1 lead. Quickly after that goal, not even like 10 seconds later, Canadians were able to score, cutting the lead down in half yet again. And, well, I guess it's 2-half. Well, it was 3-2. And that was the end of the second period. Cutting it down by one, whatever. Third period comes along, and let me tell you, these Blues were not playing around because Alexei Torchenko was able to get a shorthanded goal, okay? First of the season, I believe, for Alexei scoring. I think this was his first goal. So it gave the Blues a 4-2 lead. Captain Braden Shen, who is another guy that I said has been not scoring really, he was able to get a goal, his first goal, giving him that momentum because he's been killing it with assists but not goals. And then St. Louis was leading 5-2. And Jordan Cairo and Braden Saad were also the assists. And then, the Blues weren't done yet, baby, because Kasper Kapanen was able to get an empty netter assisted by Robert Thomas, giving the Blues a 6-2 lead. Unfortunately, at the very end, Nick Suzuki, we all know Suzuki, good player, not surprised about this, was able to at least give the Canadians more dignity, giving them another goal. So final score 6-3. This weekend for St. Louis really excites me. And excites me for reasons that you might be like, Hale, why are you so excited? Okay. So I'm a big stat nerd, okay? I always love checking to see how my teams are doing. The Blues now have 11 points. 11 points. And if you look at the Central Division, they're right now fourth in the Central, which is insane because this team was struggling. They were a bottom 7 team. They were down bad. And now all of a sudden, they're back in it yet again. So the Blues, they do excite me. They confuse me. They stir up a lot of emotions. But at the end of the day, this is a team that you cannot count out. And okay, I get it. It was a good weekend. Am I, a little bit too overexcited? Well, I'm going to get into that, okay? Because I need to talk about realistic expectations. But first, I want to tell you about Game Time. I love Game Time, first off, because sometimes when I'm buying tickets, I get super stressed. I don't know where I'm going to be sitting. I don't know what the view will be like. I'm a short girl, so I need to be able to actually be able to see the event. And with Game Time, you can do that. You can see where you're going to be sitting. You get the best deals, by the way, with no hidden fees or anything like that. So, yeah, you get to see where you're sitting. No hidden fees. Okay, what is this app? This app is Game Time. You can use Game Time for sporting events. So if you want to see your Blues at Enterprise, if you want to see a comedy show, I haven't seen a comedy show, but I heard that they're a fun time. I really want to go to one, but I haven't had the chance yet. But if you want to go to a concert, okay, up my alley. You get what I'm saying? Game Time is the best. Game Time also has deals right up to when the event starts. So if you want to save some more money, this is my hack. You sit in the parking lot. Event's about to begin. You go on your Game Time app and you swipe twice and boom, you get the tickets. So Game Time is the absolute best when it comes to that. Okay. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Term apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Love Game Time. So, one thing that I also love is the Blues' performance from this weekend. But am I getting a little too excited about how well they played, about how the defense actually looked like they were doing their job? I was most surprised about that, I think. But there's a lot to be proud of when it comes to the St. Louis Blues team. I asked you on Twitter at Locked On Blues. Question for today. Does this weekend's wins change your mind about how this team will be for the remainder of the season? And why do I ask that question? Well, my everydayers know last week's episode, I really did touch on the fact that, hey, maybe this season won't be as well as we kind of all hoped for it to be. And I think, I'm putting my brightness up. I have like a little tripod thing. But I think being realistic with expectations is a huge thing, especially in this fan base where I think sometimes we can be a little bit negative, and that is fine. I mean, the Blues haven't really given much reason to be positive, but we all love the Blue Note. So no matter what, I kind of feel like we're also going to be rooting for our Blues. So on Twitter, responding to that comment, I will break down what I personally think. Josh says, it shows that they can be a good middle of the pack team. That isn't necessarily a good thing. We're not going to get a high draft pick and we're not going to excel in the playoffs. We kind of are just middle. So, Josh, I like that comment a lot. I think that makes sense. It is frustrating, right? Because especially with the draft this year, there's not that many good draft picks. And I will break down the upcoming draft and who to look out for in terms of prospect talk. But he's right. And unless we're getting a top 6 pick, because that's how this draft will be, it's going to be difficult. But free agency, as I said, is going to be off the market. So that is something that's giving me hope because no matter how the Blues finish, they definitely can get some of those guys in free agency. Kevin says, no, remain cautiously optimistic. I love that phrase, by the way, Kevin, because that's a phrase I use all the time here. Thanksgiving is the first traditional measuring point. See where the team is at the end of this month. And that's fair. See, I feel like, and I know that some of you might say, oh, it's too early to tell. Kev Bleeds Blues also still said that. It's one of those things where, yes, it is a little bit too early to tell, but I noticed a pattern with this team. And all the team is kind of breaking this pattern that I've noticed where it's like good effort, low effort, good effort, low effort. It's kind of been back and forth, and it's been very confusing. So I think this weekend showed me that if you can battle against a cup contending team within the New Jersey Devils, right? I'm not saying the Canadians are a bad team. I'm not saying that they're a good team, but you're able to again have a big win. I mean, getting 6 goals in the NHL is not something that happens often. Maybe with some teams more than others, if you know what I mean. But it's not something that is common. Oh, by the way, co-host says hi. My cat Stella. For those who are on YouTube, subscribe, by the way. And then finally, Benji says, no, it's still let's go Blues. I like it. See, at the end of the day, we always got to rep our Blues. We're that Blue Note proud. And that's the thing is this weekend, I enjoyed being able to sit on the couch and watching my Blues play. And it was very enjoyable for me. For those that don't know, I feel like my days always begin very early. They begin at like 4 a.m. So it was nice being able to watch the Blues and being able to sleep in the next day. But No, this is a team that definitely has made improvements. They're still confusing. But why do I say it's always Robert Thomas season? Because, and you might be mad at me. You guys might get mad at me about this. I love Captain Braden Shen. I do. I do. But there is a part of me that thinks that Robert Thomas has been leading this team. He wears the A for a reason. I still stand by this. Shen should be captain. I'm so happy he is captain. But it seems to me that when RT is having himself a good game, other players respond well. And this is good for the futures of the Blues, though, because I do think one day he will be captain. But I'm just noticing that Robert Thomas really was the reason the Blues won both of these games against the Devils and Canadians. Obviously, bitter net was a huge, huge, huge advantage because, again, Jay is one of the best in the league. But one of those things where it makes you question, what magic is Robert Thomas doing? Because whatever he's doing and whenever he performs this well, the team responds. So I'm just saying. Okay. I'm going to be previewing the next couple games, but before I do that, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel. You guessed it. Okay, so score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I say this all the time. If you want some easy shmoney, you need to bet on the Kansas City Chiefs money line, okay? You bet Patty Mahomes throwing over 220 yards. Easy money. I like to do the 2-leg parlays. I know some of you like to be a little bit risky with their 3-leg parlays. Well, if you like doing 3 or more leg parlays, FanDuel has like so many different like odd boosts and like all that stuff. I had to stop doing that because I would always hit 2 and not 3. And I'm like, oh, okay. I want to win something. So FanDuel, love FanDuel. But I also love how the Blues are playing. And that's why these next couple games are really exciting me. In case you didn't see, my ring light just died. So we lit, but we not as lit. Okay, what's up? So the Blues, they're hosting the Winnipeg Jets tomorrow. That's the 7th. It is tomorrow. I am so thrown off with my days. I'm like, wait, it's already November. That is insane. So this will be an 8 p.m. puck drop. 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. I think it's 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 p.m. puck drop. Okay, so what's up with the Jets? Well, Winnipeg is 5-4-2. And away this season, they've been 3-2-1. So what does that mean for the Blues? Okay, well, the Blues have a very similar record, but they've been kind of killing it at home. They're 4-1 at home. So I think the Blues can use that momentum from this weekend. Hopefully they do not do what they do sometimes and fall into that pattern of, going down, but I'm not going to put that energy out there. So how did Winnipeg do in their last 5 games? That is a good question. So I'm going to start with the game that was furthest away, which was the 26th of October. They were at Detroit and they won 4-1. Then they were at Montreal and they won 4-3 in a shootout. Just to remind you, the Blues did beat Montreal 6-3. So I'm just putting that out there. They lost to the Rangers 3-2 in overtime. They lost to the Golden Knights 5-2. And then most recently, they defeated the Yotes 5-3. So what am I noticing here, you might ask? Well, I am noticing a couple of things. Number one, this team has been on the road for quite a bit now. They only had 1 game at home out of the last 5 games. So definitely they are probably just been traveling. The Blues have a great home crowd advantage, but that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What matters is how these teams will match up against each other. So, who on the Winnipeg Jets should you be most concerned about? Well, that is none other than Kyle Connor. He has 6 goals this season, which kind of aligns with Robert Thomas in a way. And he has 3 assists, so giving him 11 points. Now, I'm not saying that the Jets are this awful team that, can't play hockey. I'm not saying that, okay? What I am saying is when it comes to their leaders, it's kind of like the Blues where there's not a lot of points. I mean, Kyle Connor, he leads the Jets in points, okay? And yeah, 9 points isn't great. It's not, no, it's not good. But I can't say much because the Blues, they also have 9 points, which is Robert Thomas. RT, he has 4 goals and 5 assists. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's kind of like a weird way where they kind of really mesh up. Where Kyle Connor, he leads in goals, assists, points, and same thing with Robert Thomas. So it's going to really be a game where it's going to be, I think, more close than anything. I say Blues will win 3-2. I really think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to the last 5 minutes of the third period, and the Blues will end up being the more victorious team. Hopefully. Big hopefully. On tomorrow's episode of Locked On Blues, I got you covered. I will give you about all the lines, what to expect, if Berube says anything about, morning skate, and then we'll do our usual game previews. So that will be coming up. All right, today's episode was fun because the Blues actually began to win. So can't complain too much. And I'm going to enjoy these moments. Trust me, I definitely am. All right. Well, St. Louis, I will talk to you tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues. Boom.